Hi, this video is about making a submix as a way to group together your various components of a mix and be able to put processing on them collectively. This works really well, for example, with the drum kit where you're trying to blend quite a few or sometimes at least several microphones together into one sort of homogeneous sound. It also works really well with backup vocals or a horn section or a string section. Submix is the way to go to create a blend of various tracks that work together in the mix, and then they move on into the master where you can create the total balance of the whole recording. So in this track, which is the House the Rising Sun, I'm going to make a submix of the 4 drum tracks. So what I want to do is start by creating a aux return. And I want this to be a stereo aux return because even though each of these tracks is mono, we're using panning to move things around the stereo field, and so this submix needs to be a stereo track. This is a little bit like using sends to redirect or take a signal and send it to a different destination. But instead of a send, we're actually going to take the output of each of these tracks and redirect it into this aux track instead of going directly into the master. So we want the input of this aux track to be bus 1 and 2, for example, any unused bus, like we were trying to make a send and a return. But instead of going from the sends over here to the aux track, we're going to actually take the output of each of these tracks and assign it to the bus. So now the output of these 4 drum tracks does not go to the Avid 1 and 2, which is our master bus. Instead, it goes down bus 1 and 2, a secondary destination, which we have then assigned to an aux track, which I'm going to label drum sub. So what happens here is whatever effects we could put on here, some compression, maybe some gating, maybe even a little bit of EQ on each of these individual tracks, and then they go collectively into the submix, which the output of the submix then goes into the master bus. So let's just listen to what we have here. So let's just explore this just a moment. I'm going to mute the drum sub. So muting the drum sub mutes the whole drum kit. The only thing that we're hearing, the only drums part that we're hearing is the bleed through the piano. So with the piano muted temporarily so we don't have the drum bleeding into the piano mic, with the guitar and the bass open, we don't hear any drums. So the idea here is that we would then put some compression on, let's just put something like so we don't want to just totally crush it, I don't think. At least at this tune we don't. But we want to put in a nice first stage level of compression here. There may have been some compression on the kick and the snare already. And again, we would probably not want to totally kill it. And then this level 2, we don't really want to kill it. And that allows us to have 1 or 2 steps of dynamic control before we even hit the master fader. Okay, so that's a submix. We take the output of the tracks that we want to create or cluster into this submix, redirect their outputs from the master bus, which in our case is A1 and 2, Avid 1 and 2, send it to a bus, any bus that's not being used for anything else, in this case 1 and 2. All of the drum tracks go to bus 1 and 2 instead of A1 and 2, the master bus. We create an aux track to bring these signals back into the mix, assigning the input of the aux track to bus 1 and 2. The output defaults to the master bus. We put some EQ, maybe some dynamic control on here that processes the entire grouping, in this case the drums. So submixes are a great way, as I said, to create stages of dynamic control in a mix, and also to help gel together instruments that are all functioning collectively, like the individual tracks in a drum kit, the various voices in a background vocal, the horn section, those kinds of things. Anytime you have several tracks working together, that's a great place to use a submix. Okay, that's it. See you. Bye.